My talk, I don't. Metaphor.
So, Hocam, could you speak a little bit louder, please?
I'll do my best. Anytime you have difficulty hearing me, please let me know so I can adjust my voice, because I might reduce the sound over time and not realize it. Okay, so this topic is of particular interest to me, and so I wanted to do a presentation, and in doing so I wanted to have a chance to think about it in a more deep manner because of my personal interest. And what I came up with, meaning what the kind of thoughts that I have in me, and then they are open to discussion, obviously, and I'll be happy to hear what these thoughts mean to you, whether they make sense, or if you think there are things that I should think more about. I also would be happy to hear those as well. Having said that, I do want to go through all the slides, so if the discussion gets to what I call tangential topics, then I might have to ask, well, can we just proceed with all due respect, okay? So I welcome comments and questions. All right, so akhira, the word akhira, is translated as hereafter, afterlife, the life after that, etc. We are all very much concerned with what will happen after death, right? And one of the main reasons people subscribe to religion is because they want a good life afterwards. What is afterwards? And I want it to be good. I don't want it to be unpleasant. So religion says if you do these things, then you will be okay. You will be safe. And so, and in Islam, a fundamental belief is that there will be a bodily resurrection after death. There will be accountability, reward, and punishment, right? So I'm sure you're all familiar with this, and I would think that you all agree that this is an important concern for everyone. And so my objective with this presentation is that can we try to understand it in a let's see what we can do. Now, I said this was I found this topic to be personally important to me, and I found it to be interesting. The reason why I got interested in this is that we keep talking about akhira as what will happen in the future, what will happen to me after death. And so I come to this world in a certain year. I will live until a certain year. I don't know which year. And then during this time frame, I get to know the concept of time. So I say things happen before, things will happen later, and so I acquire a sense of time, and I talk about things in keeping in mind or always accepting that time exists. But my whole understanding of time is based on my life between those 2 years, right? And then I say there will be an eternal life after I die, and I call it akhira, life after that. So it is, in one sense, it is normal to say that it comes after that, so it's in the future, right? It will be in the future because I'm not experiencing it now. It'll be after death, right? But on the other hand, I say it'll be eternal. Eternal means it's beyond time. When I say it's in the future, I'm talking it using terminology of time. And so how do I reconcile this? Do you see my dilemma here? No? So in one sense, it's in the future because I am going through time, right? I haven't experienced it yet. I say it will be after death. It's after that, beyond death, right? But I also say it'll be eternal. Eternal means it's beyond time. Can I really say it'll be in the future? Okay? So this was my dilemma. I don't know if you see my dilemma or you don't. So the questions I asked, and when I started thinking about this, is akhira in the future? Can I say it is strictly in the future? And if it's eternal, does it relate to my current moment in any way reasonable? So that's how I started, okay? And so the rest is based on these questions. So in my lifetime, I benefited a lot from Risale, and so I was just curious with these questions. Does Risale refer to akhira exclusively as what is to happen in the future? What awaits the human being? When we say, this is what awaits me, it's not happening now, but it's in the future. Does Risale talk about akhira as what is to happen in the future, or are there any exceptions? Can I find any exceptions where akhira is talked about as it relates to my present? Can someone pass these handouts right behind the projector? So I'm passing handouts because we have a small projector screen here, and you may have difficulty reading what's on the screen. So I looked at Risale, and it was very easy to find examples of akhira in the future. So when you look at these references clearly, it says after human beings die, their spirits depart for another realm, and their body is rot except for a minute cell from the base of the spine, which will act as a seed. It remains intact, and on the day of resurrection, God Almighty will create the human body out of it and return its spirit to it. Then the world too will die and will then be resurrected, or it will lie in repose and then open its eyes in the morning of the resurrection. This means that a time is certain to come when the manifest world, which is the shell and form of the mighty reality of the universe, will break up with the permission of the all-glorious Creator. Then it will be renewed in a better form. The meaning of the verse will be realized. That day the earth will be changed into a different earth. So in all these are just examples. There are many, many examples in Risale where akhira this as what will happen in the future, and there's no difficulty in finding these examples. And so then my quest was, can I find exceptions to these? Can I find exceptions to discussions of akhira as they relate to my present? So here's one example. This is from Isharatul Ijaz, a commentary on certain verses. So in this sentence, it says the past tense in u'iddat, prepared, in verse Baqarah 24, u'iddat lil kafirin, the hell is prepared for the disbelievers, the author says this that suggests that hell exists right now. So hell, as we understand it, to be one of the outcomes of life after death, he says it exists now. And so this is one example. What is just one example. I'm showing you an example of, what is said to happen. I am told here, it exists now. So the question of, well, does it relate to my life now, needs to be answered, right? And then the world as a whole is like an amazing tree, the fruits of which are dispatched to the market of the hereafter. This is another example. When you look at it first, it's not clear how this is an example of akhira in the present, but let's try to understand. The world as a whole is like an amazing tree, and it has fruits. Now, the tree metaphor, which I will focus on, is used a lot in Risale. And here we are told that the world is like a tree. The author elsewhere says plants are like the leaves of the tree. And then animals are like the flowers of the tree, and the human being is like the fruit of the tree. So the beings in the universe are classified as different parts of a tree in increasing, level of animation, and plants are more animated, they show you existence more clearly than non-living beings. And then animals, compared to plants, they show existence, meaning whatever properties we see in the universe, animals show those properties, existence in the universe, better than plants. And the human being is the most comprehensive list of properties that we see in the universe, right? So that's why the author resembles the human being to a fruit, because a fruit has the seed in it, which has all the properties. The human being, I have all kinds of feelings, and I have all kinds of, biologically speaking, I have all kinds of substances in me that, scientists even agree that they come from all parts of the universe. So the author resembles the human being to an index of the entire cosmos. So one has to understand what this all means. Maybe I should elaborate more why the human being is likened to a fruit of the cosmos, the tree of cosmos. But I have to cut things short at some point. But the idea is that the human being does not have an impact on the universe. The human being and the universe is one tree. Across Risale. Okay. So, dispatched. The fruits are dispatched to the market of the hereafter, right? The fruits are dispatched to the market of the hereafter. We don't observe hereafter. What we think is the relation. Hereafter, what does that mean? So that here over there in between is, we don't have access to hereafter, but this sentence says fruits are dispatched. So the fruits of the tree are dispatched to hereafter. Then you ask, what are these fruits? The human beings are dispatched. Well, yes, the human beings over time they live and die, and then they are, after they die, they are dispatched as a fruit to the hereafter. You could say that, you could understand it that way. Once I die, dispatched as a fruit to the hereafter. But you could also understand it as, right now, in my current moment, my being is not constant, right? From one moment, I get new feelings, new ideas, and so on, and a year later, I am a completely different being, both in terms of, the cells in my body, they're all, and also I have different understanding. So I'm a new person. So one could understand this as my fruit, or the fruit of the universe, including myself, is dispatched to hereafter. So the most cited verse in Risale is يُسَبِّحُ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Or is that right? Everything makes tasbihat of whatever is in the world, recites, makes tasbihat of its maker, meaning that everything in the universe points to its maker. Everything is a sign that tells us about their maker. So one could understand these fruits as whatever qualities there are in me, they tell to other beings that the source of these qualities is absolute. Okay, so to the extent that the qualities on me make this proclamation, they are dispatched to the hereafter. You can understand it that way. And then in another verse, it says, the Qur'an says, we did not create the heavens and the earth, this universe, for idle play. Meaning that there has to be fruits to be dispatched. Right? So for the universe to not be idle play, there has to be an outcome. There has to be a result. It has to be purpose-driven, and that purpose is the fruit which we can understand as the proclamation of the beings about their maker.
When fruits fall, they all go down into the soil. If anyone picks them, then they just fall and then go down into the soil. They all do.
Right.
But for us, we're split. So we either go to hell if we don't connect with our Creator, and then we go to heaven if we do connect with our Creator. But the fruits aren't split like that. So
yeah. So just like fruits, if they go down and rot, right, then they're wasted. But if they're picked and they're dispatched to the market, then they're not wasted. Right? Can we say that? Right. So you don't plant a fruit tree to just leave the fruit to fall on earth and rot. So play, that means that we did not plant this fruit tree for the fruits to rot. They have to be dispatched to the market. They will be collected and dispatched to the market. So if the human being is the fruit of the universe, then the human being's outcome, so whatever I do, whatever I understand, whatever I make of my existence here, they need to be dispatched to the hereafter, right? They'll be preserved, right? And as I said earlier, this could be understood as happen after I die, or because I change every moment, those fruits need to be dispatched every moment, right? So at this point, the dispatching process, we need to So I then focused on this tree metaphor, okay? Because it was cited in Risale frequently enough, I said, let me think about this. And the tree metaphor also relates to the metaphors in the Qur'an, as the verses discuss akhira. So in the Qur'an, this world is likened to a fertile soil for the mu'min, for the believer. This world is a fertile soil. For the disbeliever, it's a barren soil. Right? So, in fertile soil, it produces a tree. But if the soil is barren, not good, the tree doesn't come out. You have no tree. Right? And so this world is like akhira. The description of akhira is the tree of Tuba. In the heaven, you have the tree of Tuba. In hell, you have the tree of Zaqqum, a terrible tree. Or the tree of nothingness. You don't have a tree. Right? So there are these metaphors in the Qur'an. And I think metaphors and extensively. So what I did was I went to erisale.com and searched for the word shajara. Shajara is Arabic term. In Turkish it's written like that. I typed shajara, give me all references to shajara in erisale. There were many results, so I went through all of these. And then I've explaining to you what I found to be the most relevant, the most enlightening, given the questions I've asked at the beginning. So I will ask someone to read. Can anyone who can read? Okay, Faraz, would you like to? Well,
if no one, I will.
You were the first to raise hand, so.
Do you want me to just keep going till the end, or just one paragraph?
Read this slide on.
Okay. Human being as seed, tree, machine, and fruit. Indeed, man resembles a seed. This seed has been given significant immaterial members by divine power and a subtle, valuable program by divine determining, so that it may work beneath the ground and emerging from that narrow world, enter the broad world of the air, and asking its creator with the tongue of its disposition to be a tree, find a perfection worthy of it. If due to bad temperament the seed uses the immaterial members given it in attracting certain harmful substances under the ground, in a short time it will rot and decay in that narrow place without benefit. But if the seed conforms to the creational command of God is the splitter of the seed grain and date stone, and employs well those immaterial members, it will emerge from that narrow world, and through becoming a large fruit-bearing tree, its tiny particular reality and its spirit will take on the form of an extensive universal reality. Similarly, significant members and valuable programs have been deposited in man's nature by divine power and determining. If man uses those immaterial members on the desires of his soul and on minor pleasures under the soil of worldly life in the narrow confines of this earthly world, he will decay and decompose in the midst of difficulties in a brief life in a constricted place like the rotted seed, and load the responsibility of his unfortunate spirit, then depart from this world. If, however,
we'll continue a little bit.
I couldn't see the slides.
That's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we could discuss these at length. We don't have time for it. I will try to emphasize what's most important, and we'll continue. Okay. So human being is resembled to a seed. Okay. So we have the concept of a seed here that has the potential to become a large fruit-bearing tree. Okay? But however, the seed, if it uses its in talking about desires are important. But what I understand from this is that if I use my desires solely for the purpose of trying to fulfill those desires without asking why those desires are there in the first place. Okay? So I am full of desires, and I try to satisfy those desires without asking why they're there. Without asking how. Then it's saying, the author is saying, then you can rot. You and your desires can rot. They can rot without you understanding why you were given these desires, and the outcome will invariably be those desires being unmet, and you become dust. Okay? So we talked about hunger, right, yesterday. I have hunger. So every day I want to satisfy my hunger. I worry about what I'm going to eat tomorrow, right? And then when I do find food, I get some pleasure. I enjoy getting pleasure from the food. In one sense, I enjoy getting hungry because then I can satisfy, if I can call it satisfaction, that desire by eating the food. I get pleasure, right? But I never question, what am I supposed to do with my sense of hunger and with my sense of pleasure that I get from eating? Because that sense of pleasure is fleeting. 5 seconds after I get that pleasure, it's gone, right? So my entire life is a series of these fleeting pleasures, and I didn't understand what was going on.
I just want to give an example from the immaterial world, so food is example.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the context of this group, I feel this example might be helpful also.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself with a desire to help others. And when I find that people don't want my help or don't accept my help, this desire to help others rots in me. When I'm trying to help people, I think people are going to need my help. I'm going to do something to help them. And then when I try to help, I find out actually nobody really wants my help, doesn't appreciate, doesn't need it, or cannot benefit from it. This desire to help others or to make a difference to others actually brings grievance and disappointment and pain. It kind of rots in me.
Right.
A feeling of rotting. I have something useful, something nice, Nobody, it's not needed. It's not.
But it also doesn't it also rot when they ask for your help and you help them and you get that pleasure, but that's also fleeting.
Right.
And then you look for the next episode of how can I help someone else?
Right.
So that I can satisfy this wanting to help someone. I want to be the most helper in the world.
Yeah.
And then what?
And it also happens that you might help others by saying things that you yourself don't do or have.
Yeah.
And that makes a certain feeling of like, I'm telling others and others find it very useful, but actually I feel guilt that I don't actually do it myself or
Right.
I don't have it myself. That again makes you kind of rot and decay.
Right.
Yeah.
So this satisfaction is the default outcome, no exception, in that there is this search for meaning in all of this is that goes dissatisfied in all of these episodes. I helped, but the pleasure passed, and now what?
I just want to say that these material members include desires and maybe other things as well. So desires and then your capacity to figure out a way to fulfill that desire or express that, or being self-critical. All of these are tools, a variety of tools, desires and a way to go about them, to think about them, and then to revise yourself or to put out something. All of that together are part of things that can be misused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. We are, I feel like, I don't know if you agree, I personally feel like I'm a box full of qualities, some of which I know, some of which I don't know, and they're for me to uncover. My whole life story is about trying to understand what kind of a being I am. And so, yes, what you said is true, and probably there's a lot more that we don't even know in us that we're learning, or at least we should learn. I'm going to continue, but I just want to say that yesterday we said that it is important to have these unpleasant so that we understand what we shouldn't waste. So seed having the ability to rot is very important, because then we know that then we use that experience that I should not rot my seed. So what do I do? Out, we will talk about taking as given that we understood from the rotting of the seed that we shouldn't rot our potentialities. Then what is the right way to interact with the universe and what happens next? Okay, so that's the topic now. You can.
If, however, he nurtures the seed of his abilities with the water of Islam and light of belief, under the soil of worship and servitude to God, conforms to the commands of the Qur'an, and turns his inner faculties towards their true aims, he will become one, an everlasting tree and permanent truth, with faculties which will produce branches and buds in the world of similitudes and intermediate realm, and will be the means to innumerable perfections and bounties in the world of akhira and paradise. 2. A seed of great value and a shining machine. 3. A blessed and luminous fruit of the tree of the universe.
All right. So, I don't know if you noticed, I provide links to both the English and the Turkish in the presentation. The presentation is available on the documents that Birkan sent. The link is there. So if you're interested in any of these sections, you can go there and read it for yourself. Now here, we are told that the human being, the seed, if used properly, can become 1, an everlasting tree, 2, a seed of great value and a shining machine, and 3, a blessed and a luminous fruit of the tree of the universe. Okay. All right, so we'll try to understand this. First, notice that he says he will become and will produce. So there's this future tense, and so there's still this potential to understand this as life after that in the future. When I read this, the question that came to my mind is, the human being is going through a transformation and becoming 3 things, and do these things become simultaneously? Is this transformation, are these 3 transformations simultaneous? Okay. We already discussed the third one, right? A blessed and a luminous fruit of the tree of the universe. I probably didn't do just with so far. I can become the fruit of the tree of the universe, meaning that whatever the universe propounds, in however it glorifies its creator, as its fruit, I can read all that and present it. I can get the meaning and present it to its maker. I have the potential to become a luminous, illuminated one that has meaning, right? When I get meaning, when I get knowledge, I'm illuminated. So when I observe the universe, I read its meaning and then present it as illumination. So I have this potential. What else can I become? I can become an everlasting tree. Okay, now we have another tree here. The entire cosmos is one, and I can become its fruit. The second one is I myself can be an everlasting tree, according to this text. But this is in the world of the similitude intermediate realm. I'm not going to talk about the world of the similitudes intermediate realm because I don't think I understand it myself. But there's akhira over there. So this everlasting tree is in the world of akhira. And I can become. Not going to be a physical tree, but metaphorically speaking, everlasting existence like a tree over there, if I am like a seed over here. Okay? I was already a seed, but now I am a seed of great value. As a seed, I became more valuable. And so shine. When I heard the word machine, I was intrigued by it. Why does it call the word machine? How am I a machine? But it's shining. Shine goes with luminous fruit. So again, this machine has to be related to meaning. So my interpretation is that the machine is a meaning-gathering machine. All right? So I, as a meaning-gathering machine, am a seed of great value now. Why? Because I am gathering all this meaning, and because of that I am now a valuable seed, and this value should relate to the everlasting tree. The value of the seed is valuable because of the everlasting tree. If the seed leads to an everlasting tree, then it's a valuable seed. So that can rot, if used properly, can fulfill its potential in this life by, I have a question mark there, but my interpretation why it's valuable is because of is what I do now in this world. This is true for my present life, right? It's not after death. I'm like a seed, but a valuable seed. I can become as an independent entity, but one that is one with the universe. And that universe produces me. Whoever created the universe created it for me to nourish me as a fruit, to produce me as a fruit, which will then be taken to. So that's also here and now, right? If I am the fruit of the universe, that is experienced here and now. That must be experienced here and now. Whether I experience it here and now is a different matter, but I have this potential, right? Because I have access to the world of akhira, I can never go in. But it could be now, or it could be after that, right? So in other words, do the three transformations. The three transformations discussed in the text, do they occur? Do the two occur right now, here and now? And the third will happen later. That's the question. So, but the question that I asked at the beginning, I have refined that question in the context of the three metaphor. Okay? Okay. So obviously this is all metaphorical, right? So these are pretty pictures I found on the internet, but we will stick to these three pictures as representing the seed, the valuable seed, the tree of the universe, and the everlasting tree. So the bottom one is the everlasting tree, and the middle one is the tree of the universe, and I'm a fruit on that tree, and I'm also a valuable seed. Okay. Now, we'll read this text.
Do you want to do it or me?
No, you.
From the perspective of the life of biological, lowly life of this world, the human being resembles a seed to which the divine power has attached important tools, and divine determining has inscribed in it detailed instructions. This is for the human being to rise out of the tight space beneath the soil and beseech from his Creator, through the language of his potentialities, to become a tree in the vast world of the heavens. From the perspective of the exalted life of this world that looks to meaning, the human being is the machine of an eternal tree, with its branches of desires spread out to eternity, and is an illuminated fruit of the tree of this universe.
Okay. Thank you so much.
it might be helpful to think that machine can be used in different ways as a metaphor. So today we use machine in a negative sense, like they turn human being into a machine. We're supposed to do this and then consume and so on. So a machine has a very negative meaning, and then we push back and say, well, human beings are not a machine. We are much more than that, and so on. But in this particular context, when it refers to machine, it doesn't mean in that sense. It's more maybe at the time this was being written, machines were relatively newer, and the author has in mind machine in the sense it's something that is purposefully made to have a certain aim and purpose. So when I say, this phone is for communication, the emphasis here is, if you look at it as a particular, machine, it has a purpose. This isn't to brush your teeth with. This is a machine for this purpose. So whenever in the Risale machine is referred to, the emphasis is that you have a purpose, that you are intricately made for this purpose. So when you said meaning a machine, if I think about that sense, it makes a lot of sense. You're meant to seek for meaning and understand and appreciate meaning, and you're given the whole tool set, like the whole
Right.
capacities to do that.
Right.
But if I think about machine in my everyday,
Right.
more contemporary sense, immediately when I hear the word machine, I'm like, no, we're not robots, we're not machines, and there are people who are trying to turn us into machines, not question things. So I really want to invite everyone to kind of recognize that machine is used in a completely different sense here. It's something that has a purpose and is given all the capacities toward that purpose.
That's right. Like, you sometimes give the example of a tray versus a laptop. I can treat myself as a tray, right, to carry tea with it. Somebody says, no, you're a machine. You're not that low. You've been given all these instructions, software, and you have all these tools, hardware, to do amazing things. Look at yourself. Look at your potentialities. The machine is used in that sense, that you can live at a much higher level of existence. Don't constrain yourself to being a tray or living like a tray. Yes. Yeah.
But, for which you're made.
Right.
Not in the current sense that we use.
Right.
Because today people, want to talk about human beings as machines. They want to say you don't have free will. Your brain does the working for you. You're just an intricate machine. Just consume and reproduce and then move on. The sense that it's used today, and that's a very negative sense, is completely different from what I'm here.
Thank you. Okay. Now, this section is also similar. I don't know if you noticed, but this is also similar to what we just read previously, right? In a lot of sense, there's a number of similarities, and so I'm not going to talk about those. What is different, or what do we learn new? One is from the perspective of the life of the biological, lowly life of this world. The human being is a seed, so it can become a valuable seed. So the physical aspect of the human being is still valuable. There's nothing wrong with a matter. Like, there's nothing wrong with the laptop's hardware. That can be used very productively according to the purpose it was designed for, right? So sometimes we say we should be spiritual, meaning is everything. No, the matter itself is also designed. The matter of the laptop is also extremely important. It's the seed. The second part is that from the perspective of the exalted life of meaning, the meaning of the book is exalted. The matter of the book, in the sense that the matter of the book is there to give you the meaning. So aspect of the human being is also extremely important because it's the machine, as we just discussed. It gathers the meaning tree, and that's valuable. Inserted and valuable seed over there. It's not in the original text, but in light of the other text, the other section we read there. There, a seed of they came together. So a seed of great value and shining machine, I consider them the same thing. Okay? So meaning gathering of the eternal tree. So what's in red here answers the question. What question is that? The everlasting tree of the valuable seed. Is it here and now? Are the transformations simultaneous? Okay? The two transformations, if they happen, they have to happen here. The third one, is it here and now? That was the question, right? Well, if we focus on this in red here, it is saying that the seed, the valuable seed is the seed of the eternal tree. So if I am valuable seed and I am the seed of that eternal tree, so they have to go together. Do you see what I'm saying? So one could say, one can look at it this way. The meaning-gathering valuable seed is the seed of the eternal tree. Even though the seed cannot observe its eternal tree, it is still the seed of that eternal tree. And it is valuable because of that eternal tree. And if the seed material becomes more valuable, it is because it is more seed, the eternal tree. Of the sentence heaven, hell exists right now. And also the fruits are dispatched to the market of the hereafter. So as the fruits are dispatched, the eternal tree has grown.
This machine metaphor has reminded me something, and I would like to share with you, but it's not clear in my mind, so if you can help me, all of you. Like human being we are able to make these machines, and so it makes us some kind of like superior than these ones because we are making them, right? Their existence are dependent on us. Otherwise, they cannot be here. And but in a way, human being with this ability only, human being becomes a machine maker machine. Like I'm just, my ability is to be able to make a machine. Or I was living in a village. People were using animals for the gardens. What is it called? That process to make the soil, prepare the soil. Excuse me? Plowing the soil. So this human being is using this animal to prepare his garden, and he he's able to manage the animal, take care of the animal, and put the seeds in the soil. But if human beings' relationship with this animal and with his garden is limited only using the animal and using the soil, again he becomes an animal that can use the other animal, and that's it. But is it all human being has, or does it all the human being have? Like, can this human being ask, how come this seed has the potential to become a tree, right? I have this potential too. So I have the potential to ask that how come these matters are stored in the soil? How come I have this potential? How come this universe has the ability to give me the service to communicate? Well, look, I have this potential to ask, and but when I don't use it, I become a machine, like this machine. I think shining machine in the sense that highlighting this potential of human being that can communicate with the universe in a completely different way than the machines or the animals.
Right. If it's short, I can have that. Is it short? Because I think you're going to say something soon. Okay. All right. So I agree. Let me hear what you say. You're going to say, and then I'll say. I'll respond to both.
I think all three examples. First of all, this requires that somebody believes in the hereafter, the premise. And all the examples that you're giving is seed, tree, and machine. They all require an input, like they are dependent on something. The machine, you got to give something to the machine, so it gives a product. Seed requires water, soil. The tree requires soil. So it's saying, think of yourself as one of these. So you will take some input, and then you will make something out of it. So your conclusion will be your hereafter.
Right.
Take the input and,
right.
like, take the water, you drink it as water,
right.
And then you drink too much of it, you feel so full you get disgusted. But drink the water as it's being. This water and me are created together in harmony, and in that moment, that hereafter is your heaven now.
Right.
Because you're drinking heaven, in a sense. But if you just have it for the sake of thirstiness, then you're done in
right.
3 seconds after, and that's your hell.
Yeah, your seed rotted in that sense.
But you will take an input. I think in this case, machine and humans are just used in a way that they take an input and they produce product out of it.
Right. So you're also right in saying that we take for granted belief in akhira and so on, and we say we believe. How does it affect my current life? And you're saying, we have the potential to get to know and understand how the beings glorify their maker, right? Or we use them and we rot them. We can be a fruit of the tree, or we can be a rotten fruit. We have the potential.
So about the thing that, we're like robots and we have that we're supposed to do, we usually do that. Like we're supposed to find meaning. But if you look at college students, they don't do that, right? Obviously. Have you ever gone to a website that says, okay, now click the picture of the tent so that we know that you're not a robot? That's because some robots don't listen They just,
Right.
something's gone wrong and
Right.
they do something else.
Right.
And so they go to different websites and do something bad.
Right. And we can act like robots if you don't think about how we should use our reason. If you don't think about why I love someone. I found the love in me. How should I use it? Who gave this love to me? For what purpose? If I don't think about these and just just use my love, I say I love things, then I am like a robot, and it is equivalent to rotting my seed. Because at the end of the day, I get no meaning, and I rot in the universe. So I have to continue. And so the idea here is that the seed and the everlasting tree combination is an idea here. Okay? There is a curtain, some kind of a curtain between them, in that the seed cannot directly observe its everlasting tree, but we know that the seed is the seed of that tree. So in one sense, they are directly related, because one cannot exist without the other, right? The tree cannot exist without the seed, and the seed has in it as a program the entire tree. So they are together. If we talk about one of them, we have to talk about both of them. We cannot talk about these two independently of one another. That's the idea here. I hope you're with me. And I thought that this was related to machine and valuables, machine of an eternal tree. I cannot talk about the machine independently of the eternal tree. I cannot talk about the eternal tree independent of the meaning of the machine. This, one can think of slain in God's cause, they are dead, nay, no, they are alive, but you perceive it not. So, you can understand this verse as talking about people who fought in a war and lost their lives and became martyrs, right? The verse says about them as they are living, you perceive not. Yes, you can understand it that way. But you can also understand it as individual moments in life where you plant your seed, okay, in such a way, like, as a valuable seed. So you understand its potentials, and you put it in a fertile soil and water it, and so you respected the order of this place, of the universe, and so you know that it must give a tree somewhere. And the verse says, don't consider the everlasting tree as dead. Well, when I say it will be created in the future, when I say it will be created in the future, it is dead for me. It doesn't exist for me. Right? However, if I say, anytime I plant a seed, the tree, the everlasting tree is created right there and then, and feel it, then I will not consider it as dead. I will not directly observe it, but I can, or I will not directly perceive it or sense the tree, but the verse is saying it is alive. So all my plantings in the past, plantings of the valuable seed, right plantings to be alive. Because I know that the seed that I live in these conditions right now in this universe, I cannot talk about that valuable seed independently of the alive eternal tree in the hereafter.
One metaphor that helps me understand is that curtain behind you. That if we had a plant that we started watering and we see the shoots coming up, and then let's say there's a little opening, and then the plant and further shoots and branches are going toward the other side behind the curtain, and we keep watering. We say we are going to go the outside and check this tree after a week, right? So until that in the future we will see the results of this plant.
Yeah.
But actually, currently, as you're watering it, it is actually branching into the other side. You just don't see it, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. But we directly observe the seed. So, for example,
even a bit shooting, we absorb that.
Right.
It is in that moment when Brother Ilhan was saying that when you drink water, as a gift, as a crown from the Creator, at that moment you do feel that it's more than just I drank water.
Right. I only observe the seed here. I don't directly. I can't access the tree. All I observe is the seed. And maybe I should just focus on the seed. Is there any change in the seed? So if the seed is becoming more complex, if my understanding of the reading, let's say, the message of this in this universe, the first verse is Iqra, right? I am ordered to read the universe. Am I getting better in reading the meaning of the universe? Then my seed, I can safely say, I can observe it. If I am getting better in extracting meaning, I'm the machine, right? Meaning extracting machine. If the machine is becoming more complex, right? And I can safely say the eternal tree is growing. It should be commensurate with the seed. I have 21 minutes. I have a lot of stuff to go still. So anything you say, I request that please keep it short. Thank you.
I will try to keep it short, but so I'm not sure. I'm getting the idea of that we only have seed here and we don't have access to tree. I mean, you're saying that we have kind of an access to tree, but it's just being sure of it, and also this assumption that this everything we talk only makes sense with a premise of living akhira. So, I kind of disagree with all this, both of them, because the text that you read, the author says, if however he nurtures the seed with abilities, water of Islam, light of belief, and so on, he turns his inner faculties towards the true aims. He becomes a tree and permanent truth with faculties, produce branches and buds. I'm producing these branches and buds right now, and I'm becoming a tree right now. So I have
everlasting tree.
Everlasting tree. I have it's with me right now. It's not something. I have only seed. I can look at the seed, but I can make some assumptions of it. May I give an example?
Quick, it has to be quick.
Yes. So, let's assume a hypothetical person who has fears of most of the things. He sees an insect and starts screaming. A mice would, affect more. So when you stay in your narrow world, with this fear. You have this fear, you are afraid of something, and you stay as a seed in your narrow world, and you say that, just like an animal, I'm afraid because, I want to survive. This like a sense of survival, it's a seed in you. It is there, but it's just a seed. But when you water it, meaning that you realize your weakness, you surrender your reality, that you need help, that you need protection, that you need survive, and all these needs to be provided. When you are afraid, you have this sense of being taken care of. Somebody should take you and hug you and tell you that don't worry. You have this sense. So these fear seeds produce some branches in the realm of similitudes, meaning it tells you a story. It gives you some examples. Or you know the story of boy who's afraid and who wants protection, who needs to be protected. It's the word of similitudes, like giving me some examples about myself, a bigger reality. And when I follow my fear, that I want to be protected, I want to be, taken care of, it tells me, right in the moment, about akhira, like the thing which is beyond my fear in this narrow space. Tells me that it is true, that there is someone who will protect you. There is someone who will give you existence, because I was afraid of losing my existence, right? So it tells me about this everlasting one who will protect me, who will make me survive. So from word of similitudes to from word of akhira, I pass through. I don't stay as a seed. So, yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so can you read this?
Where are we? Existence, indeed. Okay. Indeed, paradise and hell are the two fruits of the branch of the tree of creation, which stretches and inclines towards eternity. They are the two results of the chain of the universe, the two storehouses of this flood of divine activity, the two pools of beings which flow in waves facing eternity.
Thank you. All right. So the key phrase in this sentence I want you to focus on is, it's saying that the beings in this universe flow in waves over time, facing eternity. Now, I provided the English and the Turkish sources. Okay, if you click on the English version, in the English version, this is translated from Turkish as flow in waves towards eternity. It is very interesting. So when you say towards instead of facing, you understand it as akhira, in the future. But when you say beings in this universe flow facing eternity, then you exactly, to my mind, it is exactly the same thing. Dunya facing akhira, which is alive. All right? And if you look at the Turkish, it uses the word karşı. Karşı is facing. Things cereyan eder, karşı, ebed. So the Turkish is facing, but it was translated as towards. So in one sense, this is from the movie Matrix. In one sense, you have this barrier between you with the eternal realm, but you're facing it. It's as if you can touch it. If you're facing it, you can touch it. You can't touch it, but you're facing it. Right? So the first sentence in Risale, in the book of words, first sentence of first word is Bismillah, in the name of God, is the start of all things good. There we learn that we should utilize everything in the name of its maker, right? We can make that connection to the absolute realm. This whole discussion says that is true, but now with the understanding that that other realm is your eternal tree. Right? Meaning that if you use creation with Bismillah, with the worldview of Bismillah, then you, as the meaning gathering valuable machine, feed your eternal tree. If you want to feed your eternal tree and not rot as an ordinary seed, then say Bismillah. Now, how about the third piece? Remember, the valuable seed slash machine, meaning gathering machine of the eternal tree, number 2. The third piece was what? The fruit of the entire cosmos, entire universe. Now, I also have that potential. If the transformations are simultaneous, I am also the fruit of the entire universe, right? So if all these transformations are simultaneous, I am also that. So how does that fit the picture? Okay? And so I have and at this point I have only 11 minutes left, so with all apologies, I will not take any other comments from this point on. I will try to finish it all right? So if you want to talk this with me, happy to talk. So T1 is, now I'm putting things on the time spectrum. T1 is one point in time. I am one with my eternal tree, but I don't have access to it. I realize that I'm a seed, I can plant it, and so on, right? Now, I have to plant this in a fertile soil. How do I plant my valuable seed into a fertile soil? What I understand is I have to realize that I am also the fruit, luminous fruit of the cosmos. So for me to plant my seed, I have to realize that I am not in multiplicity. The entire cosmos is made for me, to give me as its fruit. I have to read the cosmos. I have to read the message of the cosmos. And as its fruit, cosmos and me together, as its fruit, I present its message, my and cosmos together. I don't differentiate the two. I present its message to its maker. That's how I plant the valuable seed in fertile soil. When I do that, that feeds the eternal tree. So the eternal tree becomes more elaborate. It grows. When the eternal tree grows more elaborate, becomes bigger, the seed also grows. I can better read. Over time, I can better read the signs in the universe. So when the seed grows, the meaning-gathering seed can better read the signs in the universe. And in similar fashion, the seed can then be planted in time 2 in the universe to read and then present all its signs, and that feeds the eternal tree. Its corresponding seed is now a better reader of the signs, and so on. It continues until the time of death, when the seed is over. And what remains is the eternal tree. And so the seed gets more and more valuable over time because it's a better reader of the signs in the universe. Summary. I say summary, but I have a couple other things to say after the summary. The human being is like a seed that, if planted properly right now, has the potential to become an eternal tree in akhira. While the eternal tree is in a different realm, it determines the value of the seed right now. In other words, the seed faces its eternal tree. In other words, hell/heaven exists now. And number 3, the seed is also the live machine, meaning-gathering machine of its eternal tree. It feeds its eternal tree by collecting meaning, reading signs from this world. Now, okay, so what happens if I understand akhira like this? So what? The so what question is important. Can you read? Yeah.
If a fruit had no known tree, its pleasure is restricted to and ceases on its being eaten, and its ceasing is the cause of sorrow. But if the fruit's tree is known, there is no pain when the fruit ceases to exist, for there are others to come in its place. At the same time, renewal is in itself a pleasure.
Thank you. If, suppose, for the sake of example, there is one fruit in front of you, and you know that there is no other, right? You eat it. It's the most delicious fruit you've ever known, but the moment you eat it, it's gone. You feel pain. You have to feel pain. If you're a human being, you have to feel pain. But if you know the fruit's tree, it's right behind the wall, you will be extremely happy, right? Because it's the best fruit ever, right? So that's how you would feel. Now, in the original, if a fruit had no tree, I inserted no, because you cannot talk about a fruit with no tree, right? So it has a tree, but you don't know it. You don't know where the tree is, okay? So I inserted known tree. There is no fruit with no tree, but there may be fruits with no known trees. So the implication is that if I know the tree, where it exists now, so I can get more fruits, then there is no sorrow for me. In the context of our discussion, to get pleasure from my existence and the renewal of my existence, I am being renewed, right? I need to get to know that my tree, my akhira, exists right now. Yes?
Eternal perfection requires eternal manifestation. Such eternal manifestation, in turn, requires the perpetual existence of those who are to appreciate and admire it. The value of perfection sinks in the view of its admirer if he is devoid of perpetual existence.
Thank you. So this sentence or paragraph is discussed in the context of belief in akhira in the 10th word. It's saying that if we have an admirer, we are all admirers, right? We have the potential to admire everything. But the moment the admirer is devoid of perpetual existence, there are all these beauties around me, but I cannot get them right now. And for sure not eternally if I'm devoid of perpetual existence, right? If I know myself as devoid of perpetual existence, I cannot, in any shape or form, in any way, I cannot admire them the way I may potentially admire them. For me to admire them fully, I have to have perpetual existence. So, if the purpose of my existence is to admire, so that I can present the beauty, the meaning of the beauty, then I should not be devoid of perpetual existence. In the context of our discussion, when the admirer is unaware that his or her eternal tree exists and growing right now, then the admirer cannot admire enough. It simply cannot happen.
Because the perfections will not be perfections.
Right.
They will sink.
They will sink in value. But because the tree is not known. The fact that the tree exists now is not known, and the person is living unaware of that eternal tree. Yeah. You can read this verse.
This is not the one on the handout though.
Is it not?
Wow.
On the bottom.
Oh yeah, there is, okay. So it says, Bismillah, alal araf rijal. No, I can't read that, but I can read from here, the last part.
Let me read the Arabic, you read the English. وَعَلَى الْأَعْرَافِ رِجَالٌ يَعْرَفُونَ كُلَّ بِسِيمَاهُمْ وَنَادَوْا أَصْحَابَ الْجَنَّةِ أَنْ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ لَمْ يَدْخُلُوهَا وَهُمْ يَطْمَعُونَ.
And there are persons who, in life, are endowed with the faculty of discernment between right and wrong, recognizing each by its mark, and they call out unto the inmates of paradise, peace be upon you, not having entered it themselves, but longing for it.
Yes, it's beautiful. Now, very quick question to the audience. How do you think this is related to the discussion? Very quick. Anyone?
The seed not having the tree. Yeah, the seed knows of the tree, but doesn't experience the tree.
Yeah, doesn't know the tree
This
exists.
caller is not calling to what he sees
Yeah,
in front of him, but knows it exists.
yeah,
Knows they are there.
right. Right, so longing for it, they have attained to, they're endowed with the faculty of discernment. They say they can see the truth. They can recognize the truth. But they have not entered paradise. They're longing for it. They want to enter paradise. They know paradise is there, and they're longing for it. Why? Because paradise is in the future. Hoping and expecting to enter paradise in the future. Hoping and expecting that there will be an eternal tree for me.
They are able to say Salaam Alaikum.
That's right.
So they're able to perceive it in the present. They are celebrating it. Salaam Alaikum.
That's right.
Present and yet to become.
Yes.
Does anyone know what this word noun means exactly, or is it longing?
Hoping.
Hoping?
Yeah.
Tama.
Tama.
Right. Right? Yeah. Hope. It's a hope. So you're.
But the future part threw me for a second when you said that, because that's not necessarily future.
Well,
But yeah,
you hope that it will happen, right?
it has a relevancy now, but has an everlasting aspect
Yes.
while being.
But they haven't entered, that's the key for him.
Hope is a very funny thing. It's only possible for something in the future, but that's a different discussion. Knowledge and hope. I feel we don't understand hope as an orientation to reality. we think knowledge is the orientation to reality, but it's actually, knowledge is death. Once you know something, you're not interested in it. Hope is the orientation to reality that, it's not mean it doesn't know, yarafuna, but hope as an orientation to reality is how human beings find joy. Otherwise, what you know something is dead. So
Right.
it's different.
Okay.
We can discuss it.
All right, thank you. And so I am 2 minutes past. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention. I hope I mix up things here.